The world is an evil, villainous place, right? It's full of people who do things that hurt other people. That's what it is.
You've said this before. You're like, human beings are not good.
No.
But like, and my comeback to that is, you said this moment where you kind of flipped over was when it was before CIA, right?
Correct.
Because it's right when you're leaving the academy. I think about that line a lot that you had in episode 107 with me. I mention it all the time, where you're just like, we were going back and forth on whether things are all good or all bad, and talked about this for like 10, 15 minutes. And I was trying to paint some examples, obviously, as someone who's not been out in the field like you, and you're like, I've lived that. You have not lived that. And like, I could almost see you like hallucinating above your body, because then like you went into this zone. I don't think the camera does it justice, but like you had this look in your eye where you were re-seeing all these things, talking about the worst examples of the worst things that human beings do to other human beings. And it really affected me, because it's like, it does put things in perspective. That's one of the nice things about this show. I sit in a podcast studio, but I have people from around the world come in here and sometimes tell me some things that, are harsh realities, if you will. But what I'm curious about is, if at any point throughout your CIA career, when you were seeing some of said things, if you wavered in your faith, or thought that, maybe this is all bullshit, because why the fuck would I live in a world where X happens?
So, no, it's actually the other way around. My time at CIA made me that much more confident in my faith, because I saw the principles of the Bible lived all over the world.
Can you explain that?
So one of the things that you learn in the Bible is that, we live in a fallen world. We live in a world that's controlled by Satan. We live in a world where the enemy is the most powerful being on the planet, right? God is waiting for us somewhere else. The Holy Spirit is here with us to help guide us and lead us. But God doesn't claim to control the earth. He has sent his son so that his son can have cleaned our sin forever. God is not really interested in the earth. God is interested in the universe and the individual souls that choose to join him, right? There's, it may have been Ian or somebody else that helped me on my faithful journey. And there were 3 or 5 of them that were really important in my faithful journey at the academy. Once explained to me this idea of, the earth is a ball and Satan is a Rottweiler, and Satan controls that ball. We are his plaything, right? The enemy, if you will. But the Rottweiler's on a leash, and the leash is held by God. So he gets to play with the earth as much as God lets him play with the earth. But otherwise, we're just stuck on this thing, right?
God lets him do it.
Because God is the one that's in ultimate control.
And what do you think of that?
For me, it's very liberating, because for me, it shows me how small I am. Yeah. It shows me how big the enemy is, which is what I need to know, because guess what 95% of my day is filled with? Temptation to do the wrong thing. And everybody listening is in the same fucking boat.
Yeah.
That's what fills our day.
Yes.
Temptation to do the wrong thing, not motivation to do the right thing, right? So it makes sense. I like that visual understanding of, big scary dog, I'm on a fucking ball. I can't beat that dog. Dog's going to do whatever the hell it wants to with me. But life doesn't end here. There's something bigger than the dog, right? So when I get chewed, swallowed, and shat out the back end of that Rottweiler, like that's the end. That's when I have the chance to actually join the Father. For me, it's a very comforting idea. Traveling, operating, meeting people around the world, you learn very fucking fast the world is a fallen place. You learn very fast Satan is in control. You learn very fast people accept, adhere, follow, obsess with
Satan's in control.
With their temptations, right? You find that everywhere. You see it, it's crystal clear. You can't fight it. You have to accept it. And then you learn a lot about yourself by seeing all the villainy of the world. The world is an evil, villainous place, right? It's full of people who do things that hurt other people. That's what it is.
You've said this before. You're like, human beings are not good.
No.
But like, and my comeback to that is, yes, there are evil people in the world, and there are more than we would like to think. There's no doubt about that. Whatever got them there, it's a separate story, but like, that's a real thing. But then there are also good people too, and you seem to operate from the assumption, and correct me if I'm wrong here, that like, no, that's not really the case. Most of them are just bad, and they're going to be more likely to do bad things.
It's just a matter of what inputs will push them to a bad place. That's all it is, right? What inputs would get you to a place where you'd kill another person? What inputs would get you to a place where you'd steal from somebody else? What inputs would get you to a place where you would lie?
All right, let's run that example real fast. Our mutual friend Matt Cox talks about this, the threshold of committing crime. And he learned, because he never committed a crime until he's 30 years old, he learned that he has a low threshold.
Correct.
Right? But he's like, everyone has a threshold. And what I mean by that is, if you're the mother of an infant and the infant's starving, you'll steal some fucking bread. But that, to me, is that good? Is it good to steal? No. Is it technically, like, if you're looking at it purely objectively, like good versus evil, the evil option to do? Sure. But like, if you're a mother trying to, you know, give sustenance to your starving child and you're taking one loaf of bread, you understand what I mean? Like, that's not an evil thing to me. It's not ideal, but that's like subjective. That shit happens.
The fact that you said it's not evil to me,
subjective, yeah,
shows that it's subjective. You know who it is evil to? The fucking court system. And the court system will say it's black and white, right? And the court system is built by men who built policy, right? People, humans, men and females, whatever, right? But it was built by human beings who built a policy to create and enforce a law. All the evil,
objectively.
Yeah, well, because they needed something objective.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it would all fall to some magistrate who decides, right? So the point I'm trying to make is we live in a fallen world. It is an evil world if you're going to use the terms good and evil, right? There are pockets, moments of good as people aspire to benefit and help other human beings. Moments. But we are predominantly fallen. We are predominantly evil, predominantly selfish, predominantly self-interested, predominantly abusive, predominantly manipulative. That is what we do. We manipulate our kids to get them to brush their teeth and turn off the TV. We say that we're doing it for a good reason, and we forget the fact that one day those kids that are manipulated into watching TV today grow up into adults who are manipulated into whatever the fuck else, right? And they end up on trial like Diddy. We have...
Oh my God. Not see that coming.
The world can't be broken into this definition of good and evil because it is in a predominantly evil world. If you're going to use those terms,
as a man of faith, you say that though.
As a man of faith, I say that too. I also say that as an experienced, objective CIA officer. Right, that is what the world is. So you have to look at it through consequences, inputs and consequences, inputs and outputs. Right, you have to look at it through that lens, because whether somebody has good intentions or evil intentions, you know, positive or destructive intentions, whatever the fuck you want to call it, you can always create predictable outcomes based off of predictable inputs. That's the world we have to live in.
All right, let's go back to what you just said, though. You said objectively as a CIA officer, something like that, right? I would actually argue that that's subjective, and here's why I say that. Your job is to go to not always dangerous places. Sometimes you go to a friendly country with a job, right? But it's not to go meet, you know, the friendly fucking village baker when you're there, unless you're trying to get information from them and they don't do anything good or evil. They just, you know, say, like, oh yeah, it's fucking 55 degrees today. And you're like, oh, thank you.
Yeah, middle class.
Sure. God damn you. God damn you. But I see why you get the comments you get. Anyway, but if you are going into these places, you are trying to find the people that can be manipulated and can be pulled to the other side, or you're trying to observe the people who are doing bad shit or are involved with the people doing bad shit. So subjectively, you are always looking at a sample size of like, hey, what, maybe not evil, but like not good, whatever's going on here, versus like, you know, the fucking lady teaching elementary school for 30 years and helping the kids. She means nothing to you. Yeah. You're not doing jobs with her. You see what I'm saying?
I do. And you're not 100% wrong, right? There's a flaw in your logic, right?
Okay.
You are correct. The majority of our effort goes into a small subset of villainous people, right? You have to be a terrorist. You have to be an army general. You have to be a, you know, nuclear lab technician. You have to be somebody that we call a person of access. That person of access who has access to state secrets, that is where we predominantly put our time. But that doesn't mean that we only manipulate the people of access, because to get to that person of access. Everything from the flights to the taxi cabs, the hotels, where you stay. When you live undercover, you are living undercover.
100%. Yeah.
That means everybody around you who is not a person of access still gets shaped, manipulated, puppeteered.
But you're doing that.
Correct.
Right? So the flight attendant who, gives you something she shouldn't give you because you're being nice to her, that's not bad.
No, but that shows that inputs and outputs can be controlled.
Okay.
Which is the original point that we were making.
Right. Why we're recording at 11:30 today instead of 12:30 because you switched it last minute.
Inputs and outputs.
Like you do every time.
Inputs and outputs. Yeah. But I also asked you first what you needed to make sure that you got what you needed.
Yeah, I told you afterwards. you didn't ask me.
Inputs and outputs drive everything. It's not about good or evil. The flight attendant has predominantly evil thoughts. She has predominantly self-interested, self-motivated, manipulative thoughts, right? She doesn't like having to work shifts that she doesn't want. She wants to get paid more for the job that she does half-assed. Like that's all of us. That's human beings, right? That doesn't necessarily mean that she's worth a CIA officer's time to further manipulate like a person of access.
Right. Thank you guys for checking out this clip. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe and hit the like button on this video. It is a huge, huge help. And if you'd like to check out this clip's full podcast episode, that link is in the description below or right here. And finally, you can follow me on Instagram and X by using the links in my description below.